The genre or category of a book can tell you a lot about the author's purpose for writing it. For example, the novel Animal Farm falls within three literary genres that give readers little glimpses into the thoughts, opinions, and beliefs of its author, George Orwell. First and foremost, Animal Farm is generally considered an allegory. An allegory is a story that includes settings, characters, and events that are meant to represent or parallel something with much deeper meaning. Take a moment to think about the settings and characters in Animal Farm. The story takes place on a farm. On a farm, there are a handful of bossy and controlling pigs, a few horses, a couple of dogs, a raven, and some humans. What deeper meaning could this story possibly have? Orwell's Barnyard Story is actually allegory for the Russian Revolution and the rise of communism that took place in Russia beginning in 1917. Manor Farm, the setting, represents the entire country of Russia, while various characters have different meaning in the story. Take, for example, the pig revolutionaries. Old Major, the idealistic but old boar, is an allegory for Karl Marx and Vladimir Lenin. Like the communist thinkers, Old Major has some ideas that sound solid, but he's not around long enough to see them all the way through. The pig Napoleon represents Joseph Stalin, Lenin's successor in Russia, who used fear and intimidation to rise to power, much like Napoleon uses his dogs to get his way on Manor Farm. Characters like Boxer represent not just one person, but people in Russia as a whole. Boxer symbolizes the faithful followers of men like Lenin and Stalin who don't really understand what's happening in government. As a result, they become victims of tyranny. George Orwell uses his animal characters to reflect the major people and events that shaped Russian politics. His use of allegory is an effective way of explaining historical events and major themes like the evils of tyranny and human nature that entertains and engages the reader. You're probably familiar with stories like The Tortoise and the Hare and The Ant and the Grasshopper. But did you know that they were fables? A fable is a story with talking animals that helps teach readers a moral or lesson. Orwell's Animal Farm can be considered a fable based on this definition. Orwell's story is not very complex, and the messages it communicates to readers are pretty simple. This easy-to-read format makes the point of the story very accessible to his audience. From Napoleon's actions, Orwell really drives home the point that greed and power can lead a person, or a pig, to do things that are damaging to society as a whole. Meanwhile, characters like Boxer remind readers that it's important to stay informed about what's happening in the world around them. Finally, Animal Farm can also be considered a satire, or a story that exaggerates and pokes fun at something in a way that convinces readers to change their opinions. Satires often comment on political themes, just as Orwell does in Animal Farm. Orwell brings many different things to readers' attention, especially the inherent flaws of tyranny and communism, the dangers of ignorance, and the role of self-interest and betrayal. Napoleon, a parallel for Joseph Stalin, is power-hungry and will stop at nothing to get what he wants. Orwell's tyrannical little pig is paranoid and controlling, which runs counter to one of the main commandments of the animal's new little government. All animals are equal. This same belief is central to communism, but it doesn't actually happen in practice. Eventually, the commandment changes to, all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. Orwell satirizes the ignorance of the general public with characters like Molly and Boxer. Molly is too caught up in her own interest to be bothered with what's happening on the farm. On the other hand, Boxer just does what he's told without questioning it. The exaggerated ignorance of these characters highlights for readers how easily blinded mankind can really be. Finally, Orwell pokes fun at Russia's communist leaders through the actions of the pigs. Napoleon and the other pig revolutionaries are in cahoots with each other at the onset and have similar goals. Over time, they begin to betray and backstab each other. These actions ultimately undermine the commandments they've laid out for Manor Farm. George Orwell's novel Animal Farm falls within three distinct literary genres. As an allegory, Orwell's barnyard setting and animal characters are meant to represent the Russian Revolution, the rise of communism in Russia, and various political figures and the Russian populace. Animal Farm can be considered a fable based on Orwell's use of simple language and animal characters that teach readers a moral or lesson. Finally, Animal Farm is also considered a satire. Orwell pokes fun and highlights various flaws with communism in a way that influences readers to change their opinions.